Car enthusiasts should thank their lucky stars, specifically the 6 lucky stars in Subaru's logo that a second generation of the BRZ even exists. And I know what some of you are thinking straight away, hang on a minute, isn't this just a facelift? And well, I think there's a little bit more to it than that. But does it mess up the formula which made the first car so lovable? We're going to take a closer look, but before we do, remember to check out the full written review over on carsguide.com.au. And if you are watching on YouTube and you are enjoying our reviews, remember to hit those like, subscribe and bell notification icons just to stay up to date with all of our latest content. Now, if you do want to skip ahead, we have some time codes with our 8 review categories. They're on the screen now. If you are watching on YouTube again, they'll be down in the description or the timeline below. Now, let's get into it. First up, pricing and specs. Now, just like most cars launched in the last year or so, there is an associated price hike that comes with the new BRZ. But considering the new equipment included and the upgrades to its performance, I think it's actually pretty moderate. Let's take a look. Ranging from just a few $100s over the outgoing car to a few thousand, depending on whether you choose the automatic or the manual, the BRZ is relatively good value in the enthusiast space. You'll see prices for the range on your screen now, but keep in mind this car's closest rivals include the Mazda MX-5 with less seats and power, or something like the Ford Fiesta ST, which is a bit cheaper, or Hyundai i30N, which is more expensive, but perhaps in a different wheelhouse altogether. This gets more impressive when you consider the new BRZ scores a bigger engine, more impressive safety gear, a reworked platform, and an increase in standard equipment. On base cars, this includes 18-inch alloy wheels up from 17s on the previous car, Michelin Pilot Sport tyres, LED headlights, a new 7-inch digital dash, a new 8-inch multimedia touchscreen with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and built-in nav, sporty bucket front seats, keyless entry with push-start ignition and dual-zone climate control. This is all before you get to the updated array of active safety features, which are also very impressive for a little car like this and account for the large price difference between the automatic and the manual. One area I wasn't so sure about was the addition of the S-Grade. At $1,200 more than the base car, it includes heated front seats with different trim, hardly justifiable as an entire variant. It would be nice to see the S add some more aesthetic touches at least, even if it were at a higher price. Now, design. The Subaru BRZ takes on a completely new look with this update. And I've got to say, I wasn't completely sold on it when I saw it in the pics, but in the metal, it actually looks like a much more mature, much more developed car than it did before. There's some really cool things that Subaru let us know about these design flourishes on the sides and on the front and on the rear of this car as well, and how most of them are purely functional. Let's take a closer look. The BRZ's new look really does come together nicely as a more subtle design than the street racer look it had before. It's still eye-catching, particularly in the hero shade of blue our test car came in, and the new LED light fittings and tasteful amount of black cladding pieces really seal the aesthetic. It's more than aesthetic alone though. Subaru assures us that pieces like the vents behind the front wheels and even small garnish pieces behind the rears have an aerodynamic purpose. The brand says this is because reducing weight with the additional equipment proved difficult, so improving airflow around the car was seen as a way of compensating for the difference. The interior has more carryover from the previous car with an identical wheel, shifter and handbrake, but the new dash design and improved material choices really lift the cabin's feel. Redesigned elements like the multimedia suite, climate unit, and dash topper help the BRZ feel a bit more coherent and a bit less like it was thrown together from off-the-shelf pieces. Does it add up to a more practical space though? Let's take a look. So in the cabin, the key touch points are largely the same. This wheel is the carryover from the previous car, the shifter is as well, and it's all in the same kind of nice sporty position that it was in before. The seats are really familiar too. They're finished in this car in a nice kind of Alcantara sort of trim with really nice bolstering, and of course the handbrake is in a nice convenient position. Who knows what you might use that for. Now, areas where it has improved, there is a smattering of better materials used in this door card, and there's a better design here as well. You have a soft trim down here for your elbow, and there's a bottle holder which has nothing above it. So that means you can actually put quite large bottles in there where you couldn't before. There's also this little flip open tray in the center console here. You can hide your objects away there. It also houses the USB ports so you don't have cables flying all over the place when you're using your phone mirroring software. And there are 2 extra cup holders in there as well should you want to use them. Other areas where Subaru has lifted the ambience of this cabin include this new multimedia screen. It looks a lot less like it was just bought off the shelf or from eBay or something like the previous one. It really integrates with this design, still has the shortcut buttons and still has some nice dials for easy control there. The screen is a little bit dull, which is my only complaint about it, but Apple CarPlay has worked flawlessly for me in my time with the car. Elsewhere, this climate unit also integrates into the design much better than it did before, and the switchgear itself feels lovely too, with big dials, easy to control, shortcut buttons as well, full marks there. That about rounds out the experience from the front, which, you know, it's a sports coupe, should be good. Let's go have a look in the back seat. Okay, so I managed to get back here, but I have to say that that's not even my own driving position. I actually had to move that seat forward slightly so I could even fit. Now that I'm in here, my feet are squashed, my knees are squashed, and my head, I have to hold it on a bit of an angle to even get it onto that roof line. Amenities? None. Can you put someone back here for a long period of time? If they're an adult, not humanely. Your kids might love it though. The boot situation is also dire even for this sports coupe category, with just 201 litres on offer. It wouldn't fit our largest CarsGuide luggage case at all, but would fit the medium and smallest cases with some fiddling around. Unusually for a car like this, there is a full-size spare, and Subaru says just like the previous car, it will fit a full set of replacement wheels for track days with that rear bench down. Now, one of the biggest updates for the Subaru BRZ this time around is the larger engine and a corresponding increase in power outputs. You'll see those on your screen now. The transmissions have also been updated to match, and there are various other performance enhancements which we'll take a look at now. Other performance enhancing features this time around include a stiffer frame, larger alloys, reworked suspension, a wider rear track, a Torsen limited slip diff, and of course, an improved tyre choice with the wheels now clad in Michelin Pilot Sport 4 rubber. Fuel consumption in a car like this is entirely dependent on how you're going to drive it, but with an increase to engine displacement comes a bump in official consumption, now at 9.5 litres to 100 kilometres in the manual or 8.8 litres to 100 kilometres in the auto. That's at least a litre up on the outgoing car. On our test, the BRZ ran just over 10 litres to 100 kilometres, which to be fair is not too far from the claim, and that was in the 6-speed manual. The BRZ also requires top shelf 98 unleaded and has a 50-litre fuel tank. An important thing to note right away is that we were offered the opportunity to drive this new BRZ against the old one on the track. And the result of that was telling, because while Subaru can talk a really big game on the updates to this car's platform, on the new suspension, on the wider track at the rear, to actually drive the cars back to back was telling. You could really feel that difference. Even on a standard road like we're on now, you can feel how firm the new car is from the ground up. Now, all those reworks to the suspension, the track, and the chassis itself combines with the new, more powerful 2.4 litre engine to make a car that's both a better performer on the track. You can just carry more speed through the corners. It's more stable, especially with those better tyres, but also a car that you can still have fun with when you really push it. Those extra power outputs are still there. The car's not so secure that it doesn't let you have fun. So overall then, yes, it is faster, it is more stable, and therefore it's a bit safer too. It doesn't have that wily feeling that the old car had, like it could just break into a slide at any given moment. There is a sense of control and poise to this vehicle that wasn't there before. Things that were there before are all the good bits, things like the ergonomics of the cabin itself. That shifter is still at a nice length from where your elbow is. The steering wheel is relatively adjustable. The seats are really comfy and they really bolster your position in place. None of that stuff has changed from the previous car, so if you loved all of that, it is all still there. Now, sadly, that does mean that there are some areas where this car hasn't really improved an awful lot, and one of them includes refinement. Now, obviously, you've got that firmer chassis, low profile tires, even bigger alloys than you had before, and it just does make for a noisy place in the cabin, especially if you add a few bumps to the equation. It starts to get a bit bumpy and rattly, and it doesn't have a very upmarket feel, but then what do you expect from a car in this price bracket. Some other little things to note. For some reason, Subaru is dead set on adding these touch indicators. That is, when you lock them on, they don't actually lock into position, they only tap up and down. BMW experimented with these in the mid-2000s and they were met with quite a lot of critical resistance. People didn't really like these indicators, and I gotta say, I don't really like them on this car. They don't seem as annoying as the ones on BMWs, but they're still a little hard to get used to. It'll be interesting to see if the Toyotas have the same thing. The transmissions as well, it is a little bit difficult to tell the difference between them and the cars before them. The automatic has been recalibrated for the extra engine output, and this manual that we're in now has been reinforced, whatever that means. To be honest, I can't really tell a difference. It's not the best manual transmission on the market. Obviously, if you've driven something from Volkswagen Group in particular, those transmissions are much smoother and much nicer to use. But this one, it feels notchy, locks into position nicely, but the action leaves a little to be desired. Other little things, the digital dash is a nice little addition here, as is the updated multimedia unit, and other little things like the climate control just makes everything easier to use. The ergonomics of the cabin have really improved, and again, it makes for a more tasteful cabin this time around. So I think overall Subaru has done a fantastic job. This car is just improved in all the right areas. It feels faster, better to drive, more secure on the road, and it has those little upgrades that just give you a little bit more quality of life in what should otherwise be an affordable little sports coupe. As with that engine, the BRZ has had a major safety upgrade this time around. However, most of the good stuff is only on the automatic model. Let's take a look. That's right, 6-speed automatics have received Subaru's signature stereo camera eyesight safety suite, which includes auto emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection, lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, reverse auto braking, adaptive cruise control, lead vehicle start alert, and auto high beam assist. The manual version gets all of the above apart from anything facing forwards, as Subaru's dual camera system works with the transmission software to make it all work. This means no auto braking, lane support, or adaptive cruise for self-shifters. The BRZ also has 7 airbags, but at the time of filming was yet to be reassessed by ANCAP. Like all current Subis, the BRZ is covered by a 5-year and unlimited kilometre warranty with 12 months of roadside assist. There is also a cap price servicing program, which is surprisingly transparent but not particularly cheap. Services range from between the mid-$300 to nearly $800 per visit, for a yearly average of nearly $500 for the duration of the warranty. It will be interesting to see if Toyota will best this with its famously cheap service pricing when this car's 86 Twin arrives later in the year. More mature and more refined both inside and out, the BRZ has been tweaked in all the right places to attack the tarmac with a renewed focus. It even maintains that compelling price point. What more could you ask for?